Hello. Today I wanted to talk about personality transformation. Right now I am undergoing some serious reconstruction in my personality, and it made me curious as to what exactly a personality is and how we define that. Technically speaking, via Google search, a personality is a unique and relatively stable set of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that define how an individual experiences and interacts with the outside world. Which is so interesting to think about it in that way, especially in regards to your identity. So the personality is like the baseline configuration. It's like the infrastructure of the house of identity. So your identity gets built upon this baseline pattern, this baseline configuration of your personality. And your personality, of course, is shaped through environmental influences, through culture, through society. As we grow in this culture, I think a lot of these labels can be, velcroed to us. We can be labeled with certain things. For example, I know I've been told, that's just how you are. I hear that all the time. Just that type of person, And I want to throw a wrench in those gears and really question why. And that really boils down to us defining the meaning of what it means to be you. So I am all about, like, my main message, my main life theme, from what I gather, is sovereignty, personal sovereignty, divine sovereignty, authority, being your own authority figure, and having conscious, we're consciously creating. We are not just being boxed into certain ideals or certain identities throughout life. So, now that we can kind of reclaim our own definition, our own meaning, we define who we are. That's our job. So, I'm Darian. What does it mean to be Darian? What defines me? What meaning have I placed on those defining factors of myself? So, I came up with three things that we can do to kind of restart our personality, reconstruct our personality. First being to bring loving awareness from a space of neutrality into our habits and priorities, observing our patterns, our thought patterns, our emotional, our feeling patterns, how are we feeling throughout the day, and our behaviors. So behaviors being, how are we reacting to life, the little things that happen and the big things that happen, how are we reacting to them. And with feelings, I find emotions to be such a great opportunity to backtrack and kind of reverse engineer awareness, so to speak, on, okay, if I'm feeling this way, what happened recently, or the grand scheme of my life. Are there things that I know I want to do but I don't do out of fear? Are there certain environmental influences that are no longer serving me? So paying really close attention to your emotions and kind of backtracking to see, okay, what really is going on to render that type of emotion, those feeling patterns, not just one emotion one day, but these patterns, these habits that then show our priorities. And limiting beliefs is a part of that too, because the personality is defined by thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So, how we're reacting behaviorally, how we're feeling, understanding why, and then our thoughts, of course, detecting limiting beliefs. And how do we see self and other, which this really has a lot to do with personality because we're putting definition, we're defining, we're putting meaning onto things. So, with that awareness, with bringing loving awareness, we're from a neutral space, objectively looking at these things. And in that same vein, I think it's important to rewrite, reframe the past. So we have certain ideas, we have certain residual configuration patterns which sculpt our personality over time. And these things are because of the meaning we've given the past. And if we reframe the meaning and the definition that we place on our past, it changes so much about the person we are right now. If, say, certain negative things, there's been a lot going on in my mind lately about what actually is negative and how a lot of things that were seemingly very difficult and challenging, where they were very difficult and challenging, they helped to motivate me into being such a better person, so much more aware, so much more driven. So I do think there is a lot of positive meaning behind difficult challenges of the past, and that's really what all this is about. You know, I don't want to be just the culmination of my past habits based on negative definitions of the past. I want to, first and foremost, before I start, aiming for a vision of the future, I need to redefine and reframe where I'm coming from. And certain challenges that I've had really have dampened my personality. For example, I am a single parent, and a lot of the consensus on that is that, especially when I talk to older people, and I understand why, and of course it's not ideal, like we need men and women and we need our nuclear families, but I do believe that for me specifically in this lifetime, that was a contracted arrangement so that I could learn these lessons that I'm learning. And so a lot of times I'll hear, that must be so hard and you must really struggle and poor thing. And it just doesn't help. That's not a Velcroed aspect of my identity. I don't have to live with those identity structures. And so number 2, we need to plant new seeds into our personality garden, okay? We need to understand what's there objectively, like, okay, thank it, grateful for it, those things served me, and those things were a lot of them were not even mine. They were just things that were kind of influenced through environment. And so we need to plant some new seeds. We need to create new patterns, a new baseline configuration. And what's interesting about personality, which of course, we're saying personality is the, based on the psychology model, personality is the infrastructure. It is the foundation upon which identity proliferates, and identity takes form from this baseline, and it affects moods, it affects relationships, it reflects in our reactions to life, and it also becomes that internal narrative of both our present self, our past, and our future. And if we're going to stop that cycle, we need to become aware, and we need to decide what it is that we do actually want. So, and this awareness will honestly just naturally reconstruct a new identity, becoming aware, not shying away from these deeper thoughts, like I've spoken in past videos, like the shadow work, and like going back from the emotions and the limiting beliefs and seeing where that comes from. Diving into who told you how you are. You know, when you're younger, you're just that type of person, or that's just Darian, you know, she's like this. And that doesn't have to be absolute truth unless you decide it. We're creators. We have sovereignty and control over who we are. That's very malleable. It's not a fixed state. It can change as soon as we decide we want to. So, that being said, we give new meaning, we change the definition of the past, and planting new seeds, a new foundation. We're rewriting narratives and deciding, okay, those things happen for a very good reason. I'm very grateful for those challenges. I'm grateful for those people who were the threat actors in my movie. As difficult as that can be sometimes. From that space, who am I authentically? What characteristics do I want to embody? And what matters most to me? What habits, what priorities do I want to root down into myself? That I want to have grow. And number 3, watering these seeds. Daily watering. That means, first and foremost, embracing the possibility, embracing the fact that you can change, investing in the truth, and embracing power that you have to decide what defines you. You can give any type of meaning that you want to anything. And the way that I choose to see it is that everything is a teacher in this cosmic play. So we correct ourselves, we use everything as an opportunity to explore more of our consciousness and to see what is going to serve us moving forward. And knowing that we're not looking for shortcuts. I do think affirmations have a place, but when we are starting to reconstruct our personality, these very deeply ingrained mechanisms, they require, from the ground up. Our goal is to deepen our consciousness, to truly become one with our higher self and with the divine, and letting that truth of our soul flourish and flow through, letting that creative energy force take form, and reclaiming our power as creators in our life. So I would implore you to watch how you react to the world, and if something does come up and you normally have a certain response like anger or irritability, knowing that that's a powerful opportunity to change the way that you respond, and it's not going to happen instantly, but over time that sends a very powerful message to the universe that you are ready to up level, that you are vibrating in a different frequency, that starts to happen. You start to elevate, and that's what I mean with deepening our consciousness. We're reclaiming our own definition, and we're putting conscious meaning to things. So yeah, elevating our energy, reshaping our personality, and choosing to live our beliefs and how we respond to everything. Normally I would get very irritated and angry with certain things, but I'm not very attached to it anymore. I, of course, know the vision of things I want to cultivate, but it starts with me taking control and sovereignty, unconscious control over who I choose to be in the small moments before I can really manifest some great big new life. That will come as an after effect naturally from the personality work, personality, identity, reality. It's got to start on the roots here. And the roots run very deep. So it will take time. But knowing it's possible and redesigning what you do want, knowing that, and then showing up as a new person. I'm a new personality. You can change. Just like that. Power is in your hands. You are a sovereign divine being, and you are the sole authority figure over your life. And some things are contracted. Some things have to take place. But coming from an objective, neutral stance, accepting that, redefining the meaning as something very beneficial for you, no matter what it is, it returns the power to you. And I think that's the biggest takeaway is, what thoughts, feelings, behaviors do I want that are going to then define me? What meaning am I putting onto those definitions that are going to in turn be who I am, my embodiment in this world? So yeah, react to life as a new you. You can be anything you want to be. So why not consciously create the best version of ourselves, one step at a time? Thank you.